Going on, Falcon fans? It's your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. So today we're gonna talk about why is it a good time to be an Atlanta Falcons fan. So guys, you know we already talked about that the draft is over. The Atlanta Falcons going into the off-season program workouts and things like that. Still making moves with the roster, of course. So stay tuned to more additions, more subtractions. Um, Trying to make the roster better. That's what they always talk about doing. But today we're going to talk about why I think it's a good time to be an Atlanta Falcons fan. I'm really excited about this season. Can't wait till it gets started. Um, on paper, I think the Atlanta Falcons have a really good, talented team. I can honestly say, if you look at things from the past, from the last two rosters that the Atlanta Falcons had, you can honestly say that they overachieved both seasons. Of course, the first season when we only had 182 $1 million in cap space, and they made a makeshift roster, won 7 games with Matty Ice. Coming into this season with Marcus Mariota on the helm. What's going on? Falcon fan, I agree. Falcon fan can't win this division. But last year came in, was projected to go 2-15, ended up going winning another seven games. So this is really going to be exciting this year. I can't wait. We're going to talk about a couple of topics today. Like I said, why I feel that we should be excited. Well, it's a good time to be a Falcon fan, right? Because um, not just for this upcoming season, but for the future as well. So, guys, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys like to hear what I talk about. And please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in and hear me talk about these Atlanta Falcons. Yeah, so we're at 23 power ranking. It's crazy. They already came out with the draft predictions for next year. The Falcons projected to pick eighth again, right? And then just like Falcon fans said, we are 23 on our power projections. Hey, that's good. This whatever, you know what I'm saying? But there's people on the outside looking in. They can't. I don't understand how they can't see the moves that has been made this off season. But whatever, we're gonna go ahead and let all the pundits, just like last year, the 2-15 crowd that had Atlanta Falcons only winning 2 games, um, potentially had a chance to be in the playoffs last year. You guys go back and look at the way it went down. Even when they put Desmond Ritter in, we still had a chance to actually make the playoffs. So that's how competitive the last year's team was, and I can honestly say that this year's team is a whole lot better than that. And we're going to actually talk about um, that in just a minute. So the first reason why I think it's really good to be a Atlanta Falcons fan, guys, and if you just put it in perspective with this right here, is that we talked about it that the Atlanta Falcons had really been in the so-called cap hell, right? They really been in the cap hell for the last 2 seasons, right? Of course, the first season because of COVID, they couldn't do anything. The salary cap, dropped down, so they had to deal with what they had to do. And then the next season, we had the largest cap hit in NFL history. Keep talking about it ad nauseum, but it was the truth, right? And they was able to still put a roster out there. So that's where we were as Falcons fans, right? That's how it was. But what I want to tell you is that why it's a good time right now to be a Falcon fan, because the Atlanta Falcons signed 17 players in free agency this offseason, right? They signed 17 players in free agency offseason, and we still have $13,982,643 left. Of course, we still got to sign our draft class, but just to look at that, they still have money left for 2023, which means they can make more additions to this roster. So if they want to play around the edges, around the bottom of the roster, maybe add another receiver, a linebacker, some of the holes that we still might think they got depth issues, they still can do that. And that's really based off the 17 players they brought in the free agency, along with the 6 guys that they brought in draft, and the 6 UDFAs that we brought in as well. So that's a big roster overhaul for this Atlanta Falcon team, right? And we're going to talk about those additions in just a minute, but the cap space, guys, is why it's a good time because the Atlanta Falcons had the second most cap space this year. They went out and they spent responsibly, like Terry Fontenot said. You had to be smart, you had to be disciplined, and they went and got in the guys, the pieces, not the big splashy guys, so you can only sign 1 or 2 guys. They sign guys, solid guys, good characters, going to fit the culture here in Atlanta, and plus guys that's going to fill some of the needs that we had on our defense last year. All right, so that's one of the things that we got to consider. Then to top it off about our cap space, next year, 2024, the Atlanta Falcons project to have $50 million in cap space, and guess what? Their roster is almost already full. They already got like a 48-man roster. So that's $50 million when you got 48 players that currently can be under contract next year. So they really just need to add, in the on the fringes again, fill up their needs where they need to find needs and things like that. But if you go back to the first season they had to fill like 22, 38 roster spots, a lot of young guys, a lot of free agents, a lot of UDFAs, right, to just fill a roster up. And now going into 2024, the Atlanta Falcons are going to have $50 million in cap space and pretty much about 48 players that's going to be under contract as of right now. So you go look over the cap, you can see that. Of course, the rookies that we just drafted is not on that roster, but if you add those in, it add up to about 48 players on the roster. So $50 million, 48 players on the contract. That's awesome because not just we can build for 2023, we can actually go out into free agency next year and double down on some of the things that we did this year. So that's why it's really good for the Atlanta Falcons. If you want to be a fan right now, if you was getting off the bandwagon and because you thought the Falcons was it going to pick this one, pick up Lamar Jackson, or they didn't get Jalen Carter, anything like that. Hopefully, you start to think about a little bit more and look at for over sustained period of time, the Atlanta Falcons have potential to start being one of those teams that can make a playoff push every year and play for the Vince Lombardi Trophy. That's what we want, right? So we want these guys to start to sustain over the years instead of a 1 year hit and try to, make a big splash, right? So let's be honest. The reason why the cap space is where it is because at this point in time we're not paying our quarterback bukus and bukus of money, right? So eventually, if Desmond Ritter pans out and he's going to eventually get paid, well, for the next 2 seasons, we got Desmond Ritter for a pretty good contract, and let's say hopefully he pans out this year and we can go into next year with that $50 million. So Falcons said here, I believe we're going to be good. Only the Falcons fans know how good we're really exactly. Because man, if you look at the media, they never really talk about the Falcons. All these analysts out there, and I believe that power ranking, just to be honest, I believe that power ranking is all about the quarterback position. It can't be about the additions that we added. It can't be about the team in its entirety. I think it's really just based off who's at quarterback. And it's sad that the national media have put everything on the quarterback position. Well, I do admit that the quarterback position is important, but I would say that a lot of these young quarterbacks that come in the league, they came to a bad team, right? Came to a bad team, and you expect those guys to be the savior of the team, but be honest, they have so many holes in so many different spots that they can't because they're rookies. They're trying to learn. With Desmond Ritter, what we have done here is put so much around him that it helps him grow, and he don't have to be Superman. He don't have to be the savior for this team. So that's what we're trying to accomplish with this team. You can see the build that they really have. So I love the way that they're building this team, and the 23 overall power ranking. I mean, that's just what it is right now. We'll see what they decide to do later on once training camp starts and things like that. I'm really interested to see once the schedule comes out what our win loss record is going to be. Some people already put it out saying we're projected to win 7.5 games again. That's just crazy to think that a team that has improved so much, from one year to another, from their roster building standpoint, that they still have us winning just 7.5 games. That's that's crazy. Yeah, the power rankings don't matter at all. I agree with you 100%. All right, so guys, really, that what I'm saying is one reason it's a good time to be a Falcon fan because you look at our cap. Our this regime has cleaned up the cap. We got a good clean cap to move forward in the future here. So that's one thing you got to look. We got good talented players on the outside. We just picked up AJ Terrell, fifth year option. Of course, Kyle Pitts be coming up here soon, and we can just go like that, keep a clean cap sheet, and bring in talent year in and year out. Right, let them sleep on us. I agree, 100%. I, I I just don't understand it, but that's the coolest thing about it. So one of the other reasons, guys, that we definitely need to be excited in the time to be a Falcon fan is just really the defensive additions that we have added this off season. And I'm gonna give you some defensive rankings from last year. Last year, the Atlanta Falcons gave up 22.7 points per game, which was 23rd in the league. They gave up passing. It was 25th in the league, 25th in the lead in passing yards on defense, and it was 23rd in the lead in rushing defense. All right, I can honestly say I believe that all those numbers, and it's going to be, being a little biased here. Hopefully, we can be in the top 10 in all those. And the reason I say that because of the additions that we have on defense. Of course, we start with our defensive line, guys like David Amayada, um, Calais Campbell, Bud Dupree, right? I'll go to our linebackers, Caden Ellis, our backfield, Jesse Bates, Jeff Okuda. Hope he brings some juice there. You got a guy like Mike Hughes coming in to help be compete for that slot position, along with Clark Phillips the third that we just brought in with the draft. Now the biggest key is what you need when you want to improve your defense. You want some of your young guys on the team in the draft to actually step up on their end, right? So you want guys like Armor Ebiketie. You want guys like D'Angelo Malone. You want Richie Grant to take another step. You want Okendeji to have a better season than he had last year. So those are some of the things to go along with those additions that we just got on the defensive side of the ball. Don't want to forget about Zach Harrison and Helms either. Both of those guys, DeMarco Helms, both of those guys were added to defense. So you want a guy like Troy Anderson, right? A guy like Troy Anderson to actually be able to hold down that middle linebacker position. That jump from year one to year two, guys, it has to be good for these young guys because if they make a step like we're hoping they can, right? It's only gonna boost this Atlanta Falcon defense because bringing in those veterans that we brought in, guys like Calais and Bud and Jesse Bates, right? And Kate Ellis, all those guys, we bringing in those guys, David Amayada, right? We hope a guy like Taquan Graham can improve, right? He's going to his third season. Hopefully, a guy like Taquan Graham can really, really improve. Um, you hope a guy like I said, like Troy Anderson can start to be better in coverage. We already know he has the attributes. He has the speed, right? Just got to know how to understand offenses better and read and react a little bit faster. That's what we need from Troy Anderson. We want Arm Ebiketie to start to finish, right? He was showing flashes at the end of the season. We need him to start finishing with his pass rush. Bringing back Lorenzo Carter is really going to be big as well. We want D'Angelo Malone. And guys, that's one of the reasons why I think we didn't go out and get a pass rusher, because you got to believe in your young guys you just drafted 1 year ago um, in the second round, and hoping that those guys can start to hit, right? Because you had to believe in your vision in those guys. And you can't believe that just 1 year of production is what their ceiling is. You got to think they're going to be improved. I think bringing in these veteran guys across the board on defense is really is going to help our young core. But our defense additions that we added to go along with the young core and that veteran mix, it kind of reminds me of what we did in 2016. And you remember in 2016 we was even younger with our younger core, guys like Deion Jones, Keon O'Neal, all those guys was really young in the backfield, right? Um, but these guys have got a year on their belt. Some of these guys got 2 years on their belt. So you expect a guy like Richie Grant to even be even better than he was last year. Playing alongside Jesse Bates in that backfield, safety backfield. Expect AJ Terrell just keep doing what he's doing. Jeff Okuda's in a contract year this year, so you expect him to have a really good year, right? Um, I know that slot position is really going to be up in competition with D. Alford, um, Clark Phillips, and um, Darren Hall and Mike Hughes. Those guys going to really compete for that slot position, because one of those guys want to be on the field, right? We had Eddie Goldman come out of retirement because he liked what was happening on this defense. So all these additions that we got on defense is one reason why we should be happy to be an Atlanta Falcon fan right now. Because I mean, I hate to put a number out there, but just looking at this Atlanta Falcons defense, they could be a top 10 defense easily. I really believe they could be a top 10 defense easily. Guys like Calais Campbell got us winning 13 games this season. But guys, it's just on paper, right? They got to put it all together. That's the biggest key for this team, to be able to put everything together, and I really believe that they can. All right, let's see what say here. Let them sleep on us. Definitely let them sleep. How good are Mac Hollins and Scotty Miller? We're going to talk about offense in just a minute. Um, do we need a speedy receiver to stretch offense? Scotty Miller is a speedy receiver. He's fast. He really fast. Um, is how well did my draft prediction do this year? I didn't get one draft prediction right, so I was off on every draft prediction that I had this year. But at the end of the day, I actually like every draft pick they made, and I can understand. I think the reason why it was so hard for a lot of people to predict what the Atlanta Falcons were going to do this year, because what we just talked about was the additions they made in the offseason. They really made so many additions that they had this offseason, to the point where they didn't have to stress out about the draft. They can go out and get the exact player they wanted, and that's what they did. If you just look at, they only had 6 draft picks. Of course, they traded one away to move up to get Matthew Bergeron, but with those 6 guys they drafted, the vision they had for each one of those guys. Um, One thing that you look at when you look at the draft class for the Atlanta Falcons, they really like veteran guys who actually led their team in college, right? Got a lot of the guys that they got was captains and on the college teams, and you can see that they like mature guys that got good character, guys that every teammate, in the locker room really likes them. The coaches talk highly about them. The people in the community talk highly about them. So they got good guys that have good character and were leaders of their teams and their colleges. Go back to each player they drafted, to Bijan Robinson, to Jovan at the end. Both all those guys was just leaders and great teammates for their teams in college. So even though I didn't get any draft picks right, I still love every draft pick that they had. So the next thing we're going to talk about the offense additions. And how can you not be excited by the offense additions that the Atlanta Falcons made this offseason? So we just talked about Mac Hollins and Scotty Miller. Both of those guys definitely can come in, can play a role. Mac Hollins had a breakout season last year. We know that. Scotty Miller is that burner, the ones that can take the top off. We still need that in this offense to keep the defense honest. Somebody that can actually get over your head. I think Kyle Pitts can do that as well, believe it or not, at the tight end position. But Skylar Miller definitely could run that slot. Arthur Smith does not use a slot a whole lot, but when you have a guy like Skylar Miller that can come out there and be a deep threat, it really opens up the middle of the field for guys like Kyle Pitts and Drake London, and now a guy like Bijan Robinson as well. So, but if we look at offense additions that was made, and I'm gonna start on in the trenches first because, um, just like Terry Fontenot said, they believe that's where it really starts in the trenches. So, of course, bringing back Chris Lindstrom um, to extension. He was going to be here anyway this year, but adding him to the extension, so he's going to be here for a while. Bringing back Caleb McGarry was huge for us. That continuity with him with Chris Lindstrom, that chemistry already developed. Bringing him back on a good team friendly deal was awesome for the Atlanta Falcons. And then you talk about adding Matthew Bergeron, who I think is going to be our starting left guard. Yes, he played a lot of tackle in college, 39 games. Um, he played 8 games, of course, at right tackle, but 31 of those games um, was at left tackle. So, of course, he's moving in the left guard. At least he's on the same side. But what they really liked about him, and I don't know if you heard about the rumor that the Dallas Cowboys was actually thinking about picking him in the first round at number 26. So he was projected by a lot was as a first round pick. That's why the Falcons went up to go get him. But I think his body, 315 pounds, 6'5", it's really going to be huge. Most guys who play tackle in college is probably the best offensive lineman on that college team. But having him move inside is really going to be good for us. I think he could actually play tackle in the NFL as well. So, in a pinch, if a guy like Jake, knock on wood, or Caleb McGarry was to go down, I think he could actually bounce out to either left or right tackle and play those positions as well. But Matthew Bergeron is going to help out the running game for the Atlanta Falcons and solidify that left guard position. Remember, we have been dealing with that position for since Andy Levitre left. Probably the last time we actually had a solid left guard at at that spot. I think the last time because we've been playing musical chairs at the left guard position, but Matthew Bergeron is slotted in to actually be that left guard, but he's gonna have to compete with guys like Matt Hennessy, Jalen Mayfield, Justin Schaefer, of course. So, um, but I feel good about saying that I think he's going to be our left guard. So adding those guys in the trenches solidify our offensive um, run game. Which last year, guys, we was ranked third in rushing, right? So I don't see any reason why we can't can continue to be that dynamic in the rushing game. Um, it was 15th in points per game. We really got to improve in that. Um, that's not good enough. We need to be higher than in points per game. And our passing per game was 158 yards a game. So we definitely need to be more balanced in the passing game. Um, Being third in rushing and being 31st in passing is not balanced. We need to kind of put that in the middle. I don't mind being third in rushing, but we at least need to be in the top 12 to the top 15 in passing. I think we do that. I think our offense can be dynamic. We can actually put more points on the board. And so um, that's where our offense stand. But adding those guys in the trenches is really going to be good. Of course, like I said, we added John Smith in the trade from the New England Patriots. I think him and Arthur Smith already had that chemistry. The things Arthur Smith can do with a guy like John Smith because he's so versatile as a tight end, being able to be in the backfield on some plays or reverses, screen plays, um, things like that is really, really going to help us out. Bringing back Keith Smith as our fullback, that's going to be helpful as well. It's going to be interesting to see how many guys they keep in the running back room. Of course, because we still got Avery Williams, who's our punt returner there. So, and then of course, guys, the big move is bringing in B. John Robinson, and I don't know if I told you guys this, but just initially looking at it, of course, I knew he was a great player, and I knew he was going to be able to help this offense out tremendously. But after going back and looking at his film, um, I think I underestimated how special Bijan Robinson actually could be um, in this offense. Um, the way he's able to cut, make people miss. The 104 broken tackles that he had was most in the FBS this year. And if you guys recalled, um, we got another guy who had the most broken tackles in the FBS last year in Tyler Algier. So that dynamic duo of Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier is really, really is going to be really good for this Atlanta Falcons offense. Now the question is, how many touches can you get Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, and Cordell Patterson, to be able to do some of the things that they do? That's going to be the question for this Atlanta Falcons coaching staff. Of course, Cordell Patterson has, you know, has experience playing receiver. That's what he came in as. Um, he was actually used in the running game sparingly in his other stops with other teams, but the Atlanta Falcons has put him exclusively at running back. But with the addition of Bijan Robinson, it'll be interesting to see how Cordell Patterson is going to be utilized this upcoming season for the Atlanta Falcons. That could be the reason why they felt they did not need to go out and make another big splash in the receiver room because they was going to utilize Cordell Patterson in that fashion. So we got Cordell Patterson, B. John Robinson, Kyle Pitts, John Smith, of course, Drake London, right? Matt Collins, Scotty Miller. Don't want to forget about Jared Barnhart, who actually had a good um, training camp last year. Didn't get to see him play because he was on the IR all year. And then, so we really need to see what this offense is going to be about. The biggest thing that I think is interesting to a lot of people is the personnel that Arthur Smith is going to be able to bring on the field. Um, you know, multiple different instances where you look at they could go in even 23 personnel, right? When they go two tight ends and three running backs, but then you're able to split out Bijan, Cordell, and Kyle Pitts, and so you get the defense in a heavy package because they think you finna run the ball, and then you spread it about out with those old dynamic weapons to create mismatches all over the field. Correct. So you think about it, they can go 22, they can have Tyler and Bijan in the backfield at the same time. So it's so many different personnels positions that Arthur Smith can roll out on the field. It's just exciting, and when I start to think about it, I think about it in the sense where you have a guy like Archie Smith just going down his play sheet and he say, "Hey Desmond, we're going to call a play for Drake. He's going to be your first read on this play." And then you look and you say, the next play, the first read is going to be Kyle. And then you look again, the next read is going to be Bijan. All right, this time we're going to go out and we're going to hand the ball off to Tyler Algier. Um, your next play is going to be a screen pass to John Smith. You guys get the picture. So basically, what I'm saying is that um, it's going to be pick your poison with this offense because there's so many different playmakers, and all Desmond Ritter has to do is be able to put it all together and distribute the ball to the right people when he has the correct read. I know that sounds simple, but it's really not all that simple. He has to do that. So at the end of the day, they need to make sure that they get that chemistry down. All these guys, you want to be able to utilize mismatches and things like that. Um, what we seen from Arthur Smith, he really creative with his play calling, but having all these weapons at your disposal is just going to open up for so many because when you create a mismatch and just say you put Kyle Pitts on the outside, do they put a person on top? So now it's two people on him. If you do that, now you got guys like Drake London that's one-on-one coverage. Guys like Bijan Robinson going up against a linebacker, right? Got Tyler Algier in a light box, and now he can get downhill and start the sledgehammer people. So these are all the things that we can really kind of vision and imagine in his Arthur Smith offense with all these different weapons that he has. Um, these guys have added to this offense during the off season. So it's really gonna be exciting. I can't wait. That's why I had to do this video today because just sitting back and looking now, it's all on paper, right? That's what we always look at, and we just think about. You look at super teams and basketball and things like that, and everybody started like, I can't even imagine how it's gonna look because it's all on paper and things like that. Um, but when you talk about football, and you talking about 22 people, on the field. Everybody got to try to be accounted for on the defensive side. Those 11 men on defense and those 11 men on offense got to be accounted for. But scheming it up, finding the mismatches, having the defense think, right? We want defenses to, when they game plan, to figure out who they need to stop every Sunday. That's what we're trying to get to, right? Um, what I was thinking about today before I did this video, I was just thinking about that the fact that we never really got to see Desmond Ritter and Kyle Pitts connection, right? We seen the chemistry that he actually had with Drake, right? I think the most production that Drake London had is those 4 games that he had with Desmond Ritter. So we can see the chemistry that Desmond Ritter and Drake London has already, you know, got over just 4 game period, right? That chemistry has already been developed. But we talk about Bijan Robinson and we talk about Drake London and we talk about Tyler Algier, but we forget that Kyle Pitts was picked 4th overall just 2 seasons ago, and he's a unicorn. So just adding him back to this offense is really going to be dynamic. Like I said, we kind of leave him out because he was out. He was missing towards the tail end of the season. But just imagine bringing him back to the fold as well. Um, it's just insane to think that he's a mismatch on the field along with a guy like Bijan Robinson, and then do you really want to put 8 in the box? Because now you're gonna may have to do that as well when you're trying to stop Tyler Algier, right? So um, just imagine it, guys. And the greatest thing about this offense this year is to just to tie this up in a bow, is that hopefully our defense is improved. Because if our defense is improved, our offense will have more possessions than they had last year. If you recall last year, our defense couldn't get out the field, couldn't get out the field on third down, and the offense really never had a lot of possessions in a game, right? You want at least about 12 to 13 possessions in a game. If your defense creating three and outs, your offense is going to be able to do that. And if able to do that, you're going to be able to get the ball in more of your playmakers' hand to make plays to put all those different points on the board. So that's what I'm excited about. Can't wait. I know you guys can't either just imagine it. So that's one of the things that why it's good to be a Falcon fan, guys, because the additions they made on defensive side of the ball, the additions they made on the offensive side of the ball is definitely something that we all should be excited about. And we just looking at divisions, right? And then the last reason why I think we definitely should be happy to be an Atlanta Falcon fan right now is it's the third year of the program, right? And if you're looking at, we went through our trials and tribulations in these first two seasons of this program, and Arthur Smith knew it, Rich McKay knew it. They gave this regime, this coaching staff, this front office time, right? They didn't force them to say you on the clock, you got to go out and win games right now. Even though Arthur Smith, him, Dean Pease, and his staff, the first two seasons, that's what they tried to do. They tried to go out and win every game that they play. They didn't tank it. They didn't make excuses with the talent that they had on the rosters. They went out and they tried to to be competitive every week. And if you've seen these last two seasons, even though they only won 7 games both seasons, I think that you would say that both of these teams, um, the one in 2021 and the one in 2022, was really competitive, and it was exciting to watch. Yes, we still had some frustrating moments um, from both teams, but I believe that it was one of the most exciting two seasons because we knew the talent that we had on the team, but you saw the competitiveness that they showed, the competition that they played week in and week out, and you just enjoyed that if you was a Falcon fan. And now to have all that transpire and then come in this third season, and for the Falcons to do exactly what they set out to do, is to improve the roster. The talent is so much better on this roster, and it's a good mixture of old players and young players, and so versatile. That's another thing that they talked about. If you look on the defensive side and the offensive side, you have so many players that could be so versatile across the board. Um, and they're young. It's not an old team. We got old players, got Calais Campbell, been in the league for years, right? But we need that veteran savvy to help some of our young guys develop even better, right? Guys like Zach Harrison that we just brought in, guys like Armor Katie, D'Angelo Malone. We need those guys to, get some knowledge, get some wisdom from a guy who got 99 sacks in his career. Um, Bud Dupree, a guy who's been in the league about eight years, that can come in and help, right? Help these guys learn pass rush moves. Guy who's already been injured, came back from injury, still trying to keep his NFL career going. He's gonna be hungry because he's in the contract year as well. So those are the things that we got to look for in this third season. I believe that this is the first season that Arthur Smith can really be judged as the Atlanta Falcons head coach. Now we can look at the things he did in the first two seasons and really like the the culture that he has built, the Atlanta Falcons team. Um, One of the most competitive teams, I feel. If you went to training camp last year like I did, um, that training camp was really, really competitive, guys. It was. And I think this year it's going to be even more competitive because if you look down the roster, that 53-man roster breakdown is going to be tough to crack. They got depth all over. I mean, just look at the cornerback room. How many cornerbacks they keep? I think they keep like 5 or 6 last year. Look at the cornerback depth; it's already deep, right? Look at the defensive line. How many defensive lines they going to keep, right? It's going to be really tough to crack this 53-man roster. So the competition in camp is going to be good. Look at that offensive guard. We just talked about Matthew Bergeron, but Matt Hennessy, um, Justin Schaefer, Jalen Mayfield, those guys want to make sure they make the squad as well. So um, this is going to be really, really good for um, this team this year. The competition this third year, I believe that Arthur Smith this is the first time he really need to be judged as a coach. I think he has the talent. Um, I think Ryan Nielsen is going to be really, really big for us. Um, Not just being a teacher for that defensive line to have those guys um, be humming. He said he want to play violent. These guys going to be aggressive. That's what we want to see from this Atlanta Falcon defense, and we want to see growth from our offense as well. We talked about Desmond Ritter. Desmond Ritter just need to be himself, go out and play good football, and get the ball into the playmaker's hand. But guys, that's why. That's why you should be happy to be an Atlanta Falcon fan. The future is bright. It really is. Really is, guys. Um, I just want to know what you guys think about it. Let me know. Leave your comments, leave your feedback. Let me know how you can envision um, how many interceptions Jesse Bates going to get, AJ Terrell, right? How many sacks do Atlanta Falcons get this year? Let's start thinking about that. 21 last year, 18 the year before that. How many sacks will the Atlanta Falcons get this year? Right? That's what I'm talking about. How many turnovers we can get? How many interceptions we can get? How many yards can Bijan have? How many yards can Tyler Algier have? Right? Can can Drake London and Kyle Pitts both break the 1,000-yard mark in passing this year? Right? Sky's the limit. We don't know. We got to see it. We got this on paper. It looks nice. Um, Young talent in offense, great mixture of defense, um, good coaching staff. Guys, the future is bright, and that's why it's good to be Atlanta Falcon fan. So, guys, let me know your feedback. Let me know what you like about this year team 2023 version. It's not complete yet. We already talked about it. You will see more additions. You will see some more subtractions, and training camp will be here before we know it. And this is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.